Hello there, welcome to Garden Friends. I'm Andrea here in Tampa, Florida, and we are looking at a neglected side of the house. It's back behind a little fence to keep the dogs out, and it's going to be transformed into a sensory garden for our grandson. He is 6 months old, and that's kind of one of the reasons that it is so kind of unkempt. I've got some things that are way overgrown and some weed action and things that need a lot of attention because we're going to be transforming this. With a sensory garden, you obviously want to appeal to a child's senses. So one of the first things I have is this pigeon pea right here. Now, when you shake the dried pigeon peas, they rattle. Great sound. The baby will love it. And they kind of have a cool texture. Another sense that we have is the sense of smell. And this is my crepe jasmine. It looks a lot like a gardenia, but it's not. It doesn't smell as strong either, but these blooms do smell a little bit like a gardenia. For a good part of the day, this part of the yard is in the shade because of, well, the oak trees up there. I'm going to pull out the flax lilies because I think this would be a great place for the baby to have some sand, you know, a little bucket of sand. I wouldn't make just a sand pit because of animals and whatnot, but some water, maybe a little table for him to play with. So I think that I will pull up the flax lilies. And back there I have got a mirror, and I've got it down there because I think it looks neat with the plants in front of it, and it's just the perfect height for a little bitty boy to look at himself, look at the plants. We have a wind chime. We have been carting around for about 25 years. It's been repaired a few different times, but it still works. I have got an old bus bench that we repurposed there with some new wood and some toys and little knickknacks I've been collecting for decoration. And if I look over here, I do have some cool things that the baby I think will enjoy. I've got some coral here that has a really nice feel to it. I have got this old conch shell, and even in its old condition, you can still hear the ocean. So I think that they'll be fun for the baby. I have some king's mantle that's in the ground, and I've been propagating it from some cuttings that I got a few years ago. And I will leave it in the back there. I've put some cuttings of Cuban oregano. They spread really quickly, and it's not really an herb, it's more of a succulent. The leaves are just really super cool, and I think a baby would enjoy them. They're kind of thick, and I think that went off. They're fuzzy, and I know you can't smell it through the video, but they have a real strong oregano flavor to them. They are edible. We use them more in marinades than we do, in sauces or things where you would use a more traditional oregano. Now in this part of the garden, I have got some coreopsis that is just, it pops up wherever it wants to. The original plants are long gone, but it self-seeds, and I let it go. I don't deadhead them, but they're pretty. They're a good height for a little one to walk around. He can pick the flowers. He really can't hurt it because, like I said, it self-seeds. It just pops up everywhere. Next to it, I have got some bulbine that has an interesting texture to the leaves. It kind of feels like a succulent. Next to it is just some variegated lorope. Same shape leaves, but definitely a different texture. Now sitting here underneath my crepe jasmine, which came from my grandmother's, I have got a piece of the porch from my grandmother's house. And I think it's a perfect height to be used as a little baby bench. Not too tall. And I think it's super cool that my grandson will get to sit on a piece of the porch from his great-great-grandmother's house. I think a very important part of a sensory garden is herbs. I have some parsley that's going to go in the ground. I have a few little herbs back there, some sage, some chives. Here I've got a very nice aloe. He's going to have to be transplanted to some other part of the yard. Now here I've got some Gerber daisies, and it's got some pink and white flowers, and I'll leave them. I think it's got a really interesting leaf. It's a different texture, it's a different shape, and the flowers are just adorable. What baby wouldn't like those flowers? Now here by the Gerber daisies, I've got some milkweed. It sort of self-seeds around my yard, and the baby can look at the caterpillars and watch the butterflies, because I've got a lot of butterflies that come through here. I have some more Cuban oregano down there. I'll let it spread. Back here I have got a lot of lantana, and I am going to pull up quite a bit of it. It's not something that I need the baby playing in. I think that it could be irritating to the skin if you get down in it too much. So I am going to be cutting that way back. I'll probably transplant it somewhere else. And here I have one of our plumeria. We have several of them. Now this one, he's kind of small. He doesn't get the same sun that some of the others do. The starburst clerodendron has a really cool leaf. It's green on one side, it's purple on the other, and when it blooms it makes gorgeous fuchsia and white flowers. It really is stunning when it's all full of leaves and blooms. Now here is some Cape honeysuckle. It's not blooming right now. It finished about a month ago. It blooms through the fall and the spring. Beautiful little orange flowers. The pollinators love it. You can't kill this thing. You can cut it to the ground and it'll be growing back within a week. And it spreads pretty rapidly. It sends out runners on the ground that touch down and make roots. So I'm going to tame him. I don't need it to be quite so big and sprawling. I am going to remove the bird bath. I'm going to relocate him to another place in the yard. Now here in the corner, I have got one of my pink ball trees. It gets massive, and at Christmas time it makes those giant pink flowers. I love it. I've posted videos of it before. And I'm going to try to trim this one up to be more of a tree so that the bottom doesn't have all of those big leaves. Now we have a lot of succulents in our yard. I've got a big collection of them. I'm always trying to find something new. But a lot of succulents are toxic. They have that white sap in them, and it's caused a trip to the vet. It's irritated my skin a little bit sometimes. So we're not going to be adding any succulents to the sensory garden. And one of the reasons that I am containing my sensory garden back behind this little fence is so that I can control what the baby has access to when he's playing. I want it to be a safe environment, as well as a learning opportunity and a place for him to, appreciate and learn about nature. I want him to love these plants and the little critters that hide in them just as much as I do. So this is the beginning of our sensory garden. I hope that you will follow along as I post updates. And I would love, love, love to hear any comments that you have or suggestions about what to add to our little baby's sensory garden. So with that, I will say goodbye for now. And I really appreciate you watching me. Have a great day.